Hey guys, welcome back to another Weird Wednesday. I'm Ashers, and this is...
Jimothy Strange here.
And also...
Amy and Ryan from Amy and Ryan's Weird Adventures on YouTube.
Oh my gosh, so exciting. The listeners all know, right now we are doing guests. That's where we're at right now. We're having people come on the show every single week, and we have another set of really awesome guests. And I'm super stoked to get into it. But... we have a third wheel. We have Jimothy Strange here, and so Jimothy, I don't think anybody's ever heard you on the show. You have been a longtime listener of the show. You potentially want to be a co-host on here. Is that right?
That's absolutely true. I would love to. I'd love to join in the weirdness on a weekly, semi-weekly, monthly, whatever basis that you could tolerate me. I would love to throw my voice into the mix there for sure.
Wrestle with the weird a little bit. What got you interested in this stuff?
In the weirdness, I grew up around it. I grew up here in Kentucky and kind of in the woods, and I've had paranormal experiences all my life, from ghost things to maybe Bigfoot or other creature encounters. I've definitely heard the classic baby crying in the woods. I would hear that pretty frequently behind my house growing up. Could be an animal, or it could be, Mothman coming to say hey to 6-year-old Jimmy there. But I've grown up with it, and it's always been something that was around me. And when I grew up, I found a community of like-minded weirdos, and it's a good fun place to be once you find the right pocket of weirdness.
Yeah, I agree with that. I have my penis in multiple pockets of weirdness, so I can understand wanting to get involved. And if people didn't know, you are already, not only are you a fellow weirdo, but you also are a radio personality.
Yes, I am. I am believe it or not, I am a country music DJ. And I currently am the temporary host of a morning show. And I also work a 40-hour-a-week customer service job that I leave from there to go do. So as soon as they can find somebody to do the mornings, I'll get to sleep in a little bit again, and I'll go back to the afternoons. But yeah, I do a radio show in the morning. It's a local country station here in Kentucky, and it's really the only exposure to country music I have. It's strictly professional.
Wow. A man of my own heart, biting off more than you can chew. I love it. That's me right there. Well, welcome to On Wednesdays We Talk Weird.
Thank you.
We'll see how this goes, and I think it's going to go great. So I'm super excited to have you here. Super excited to have Amy and Ryan. We're just going to jump right into it. Jimothy, how was your weekend? What'd you do?
Oh, it was a doozy. I had plans. I bought concert tickets, and I bought a VIP experience to see my favorite band. And I ended up not being able to see them because we were standing there on the rail. They had let us in, and then they canceled the concert while we were standing there due to not having enough security to check people and not having metal detectors. And it was an entire cluster. That's for sure. So that was my weekend there. I got to get it would have been a stage played guitar, but they didn't play. So I still got an autographed one, and I still got to bring that home. So I had a decent experience all around. I got to meet the band with the sound check. Didn't get to see them play, but it's kind of a 50-50. It was
bittersweet, huh?
Yes, very bittersweet. So it was okay. I would have liked to have seen them play, but honestly, I'm a man in my late 30s, and it was a 3-hour drive home, and it was like, honestly, I got the guitar. I'm fine not staying here until 11 and then driving back home to get home super late. So it was, for me, I was like, oh, darn, we have to leave early, I guess. And really, I was just like, oh, thank God.
We were talking about that before you showed up, about being old. Who was it that you were going to go see?
It was Seven Dust and Static X.
Oh,
so
very
Seven
cool.
Dust is my favorite all-time band. I've seen them probably close to 50 times. I'll go back to see them. They're coming to Kentucky in February on this exact same tour. I'll go back and see them then, so it's not like I'm never going to see them. And I've already seen them once this year too, so it was also a good reason for me to be like, okay, well, that's fine. I got the guitar. Let's split.
I'll just go home. One of my friends was in Kentucky this weekend to see Lacuna Coils. That's why I thought that maybe that's who you were seeing also, because I don't know, you're from Kentucky and they were in Kentucky, so obviously it's the same, right?
Exactly. That's if you go anywhere. That's when I used to live in New York, in the upstate part of it. And anytime I would say, like, oh, yeah, I lived in New York. Oh, I've always wanted to go to, like, Ground Zero and see the Statue of Liberty. I'm like, cool. That's, like, 4 hours from where I was.
Yeah.
We too are from upstate New York. Just throwing that out there.
you guys are from upstate New York?
Yes.
Is what you said? Oh,
yes.
Okay. Well, see, they understand exactly. That's like me in Cleveland. I got people all the time. Oh, are you going to this thing in Cleveland? I'm like, yeah, no, it's like 4 hours away. Ohio's a big state. I don't know. Well, it sounds like it ended up being the best possible outcome considering the circumstances, right? If you're not going to see the band, hey, at least you got, you got your guitar and you got your meet and greet, which are usually the most important things when you get,
Yes.
So
very much.
It doesn't sound like it was terrible. That's awesome. What about you guys? Amy and Ryan? Ryan and Amy? Which do you prefer? Amy first or Ryan first?
Well, just in the name, it's Amy first, but we're an equal duo, so you can say either one that comes to mind first.
Well, sometimes when you flip it, it doesn't quite sound right. You know what I mean? So it's like...
Yeah, it's nobody wants to eat Jerry and Ben's ice cream.
Exactly. Yeah, it's disgusting. What did you guys do this weekend? I heard you went investigating.
We did. We took a road trip out to western Pennsylvania to a little town called Waynesburg, and it's near Pittsburgh, and they have an old almshouse or county poor farm that has been turned into a museum for all of Wayne County, and they allow people to investigate the entire building until 2 a.m. So we decided, we had booked this over the summer, the spring, a long time ago, and then it came down to the date, and I was so excited because we haven't investigated properly in a couple months. So we went out to this museum and spent the night there, roaming the halls, the basement. They've got incredible artifacts, and they've really made a beautiful, well-appointed museum over the last 3.5, 4 years. And it's only 4 people total involved in the whole place. So we were just really stunned to see and be able to experience this place. And I think it's a little haunted.
It's a little haunted for sure. It's 40 plus rooms, so for the two of us, it was quite the place to traverse over the time we had. But it was an absolute blast.
That's very neat. Are you guys doing a video on it?
You bet.
Yes, we are.
Okay, all right.
I will say, I caught the live stream that you guys did of that.
No kidding.
Oh, wow.
Some of the Estes questions and responses that you were getting, I was sitting here, my mind was blown on them. There was a part where you had said, oh, there's a laundry list of things here, and then Ryan goes, lots of them. And there was just so much corresponding responses coming from him to the things you were saying. It was amazing.
Yeah, that was a good one. There was a point, who was in that live stream too, and also thank you for watching, was the executive director of the museum. And they love to watch what people are doing and support the paranormal. And Ryan at one point said steel, and I wasn't sure if it was thievery or metal. And then he said bars, and he was sitting in front of the room that had steel bars on the windows and a cage door. And that's the kind of stuff that is so uncanny and so weird. I don't want an explanation because I love the mystery of that. I love the weirdness of it. That was good. That was good.
No, that's awesome. That's very exciting and very fitting for spooky season. I want to get into drilling you guys with questions. I got a bunch, but I'll save some. I'll save a little bit. That sounds really neat. Did you guys do anything else besides that, or?
Just 16 hours in the car and a lot of time with each other to look at the road.
There were rainbows on the way home, and of course we got to stop at Sheetz gas station, which is every investigator's favorite place, and it's only going toward the Midwest, so we have to drive at least 5 to 7 hours to find just the best gas station food to investigate with.
It's awesome. I so wish we had Sheetz here.
I know.
No, I completely understand. That's part of it, right? Is all these familiar places that you stop at on the road. Not really familiar, but really strange places. I once bought a Stretch Armstrong at a Sheetz gas station, so it was really cool. I saw Macho Man Randy Savage beef or Slim Jim holder one time at a not at a Sheetz, but at a gas station.
Oh, wow. I saw one of those recently, a vintage one, and I asked the guy how much he wanted for it, and he would not sell it to me.
He's like, that's my most prized possession right there.
Pretty much.
Yeah, that's completely priceless. You can't pay for that. Yeah, it's no, but it is lots of fun. We always do. So we're getting a lot of Sheetz here now in Ohio. It's starting to be a thing. We didn't have them before. We would see them out in Pennsylvania and also in West Virginia when we go out there. But the one thing that and anybody that listens to the show that's either lives in West Virginia or goes there a lot, you already know what I'm talking about. Tudor's Biscuit World. That's like our thing. Wow. And it's just a breakfast themed kind of fast food place. But if you guys ever get the chance and you see a sign for Tudor's, stop there because it is
great.
Fucking amazing.
That sounds great.
I'm a breakfast food fan, so.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. Yes, Tudor's Biscuit World. It is tops. It is like a staple. Every time we go to West Virginia, it's like, yeah, we're excited to investigate or whatever, but we're there for the Tudors. We're there for the biscuits. So
that is good info. Yeah. Thank you.
I didn't have. I guess I had a weekend that was kind of in between both of your guys' weekends, in a weird way. So Friday night I went to a cryptid art show locally, ran by my friend Cherish. She owns I've talked about her a lot. The listeners are kind of familiar with her, but she runs an oddities store here in Fairborn, Ohio. And she frequently puts on different themed art shows and events and stuff. So because it was Friday the 13th, the whole town there in Fairborn, it's considered Halloween Town, Ohio. This whole strip, most of the strip in this little city is owned by a guy who owns a Halloween store. But the Halloween store is like multiple Halloween stores, and they're open year-round. And then on the strip are also other little, weird odds and ends kinds of shops, and there's shops there. So, of course, being Friday the 13th, the city kind of did it big. They had a whole event. They had live music, beer and shopping and all that fun stuff, plus the art show. I got to attend that and speak with my friend Jake and his wife Leah and their friends. I don't want to say Jake's last name because I'm not sure how he feels about it, but Jake had a small Bigfoot encounter locally. And it's always interesting to me because the thing that he saw was 4 foot tall. And, I love that. I love that story. It's not a 10-foot tall ape, right? It's a little 4 foot tall something that he saw in his yard here locally. And so, but it was fun. It's always nice to talk to Jake, always nice to talk to his wife. It was really interesting because he had mentioned to me that he has actually also come across similar reports of a tiny Bigfoot in the area. And, sometimes I kind of let go of Bigfoot. It's a really strange relationship me and Bigfoot have. I get it's a topic that's talked about to death in the cryptid community. And so I get kind of not overwhelmed, but oversaturated with it. But then it's stories like that just kind of reignite me a little bit. I'd love to get Jake on the show. I know he's listening to this. Jake kind of feels uncomfortable about having any type of celebrity status, and that's fine. But I think it'd be awesome for him to come on and kind of talk about, his encounter and then things that, he's found that are similar or different local things. So that was really neat. And then Saturday night, I actually attended a silent disco. Have you guys ever heard of this?
Yes.
Oh.
Is that the headphones and everybody gets their own music?
It is, yes.
Cool.
So you go to a club, and this one is all outside, and that's honestly a terrible idea because it was only 50 degrees. But you get headphones, and there's for ours, there's 3 different DJs that play different types of music, and then you go under a tent and you dance with your headphones on, and it was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun. But it's so fucking weird when you take the headphones off. And then you've got all these people. And then, of course, they're playing, one of the channels is today's hits. Not today's hits, but it's 2000s hits or something. So, I don't know. Everybody's singing the same song, but there's no music because your headphones are off. It's so weird. And then, like I said, it takes place outside. So I could only imagine the people in a very busy city. This is in Dayton, Ohio. I can only imagine people driving by seeing this take place. But it was fun. It was a ton of fun. I highly recommend it to people. who have never been. It's at least a very interesting social experiment. And that was neat. So then Sunday, I spent a lot of time doing a lot of nothing because I'm old and I drank all weekend and I needed to recover. That was my weekend. So anyway, I do have a couple of different news stories here. The news had been a little slower lately. It is not this week, and that's super exciting. So one thing I want to talk about is kind of a local story to me and to Jimothy. Actually, he doesn't know that, but he will. So back in 1906, the Clark County Historical Society, which is actually, it's Clark County, Ohio. It's where I was born and raised. They were donated a Fiji mermaid. And if you guys aren't familiar with the concept of the Fiji mermaid, it is it's a P.T. Barnum monstrosity. So Barnum would go around touring this mermaid, this body of a mermaid, saying that it was caught off of Fiji and it was a legit mermaid. It was real. What we know now is that there are multiple Fiji mermaids, and what they are is the head of a monkey, right? The top of a monkey and the bottom of a fish sewn together. It's a taxidermy thing. So it's obviously not a real mermaid. However, the Clark County Historical Society received one in 1906, and the Northern Kentucky University had approached them and said, hey, what if we get some scans hooked up to that thing and we look at the inside of it? And they're like, yeah, sure, let's do it, absolutely. So they did, and they do have the results of those scans, which, of course, they did find that, of course, it confirmed the suspicions. It is the top half of a monkey, the bottom half of a fish. However, the arms on it ended up being a little interesting and tell us a little bit more about the creation of these things. It has, like, amphibian hands? Feet? I don't really know what to call them. I mean, obviously, they're supposed to be, like, hands and arms of a mermaid. But they don't really know exactly what was used to construct it. So they're going to send it off over to the Cincinnati Zoo and have them definitively conclude, what kind of monkey, what kind of fish, what kind of amphibian. So that's neat. I don't know. Any thoughts on the Fiji mermaid from the Peanut Gallery?
Amy just brought up a photo of one, and wow, that's interesting.
It looks horrifying, right?
I forgot you saw it in Atlantic City.
I saw it?
Yeah, we went to one of those, Ripley's, believe it or not.
Oh my God.
I love those places, and as much as people just crap all over Atlantic City, we had a lot of fun, and we brought his kids there, and we saw a Fiji mermaid, and it looks very worn out, I'll say that. It's been through some things, and it's seen some things. But what
the PC term would be antique.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Got a patina.
Exactly.
That Fiji mermaid's been rode hard and
yes.
to dry. Yeah, no, they're really, I really like them. I don't know why. Like, listen, I know they're not anything, right? I know it's not like, it's not real, but I like it. I don't know, it's fun and it's exciting.
I like them. I like jackalopes. I like that fake created. Yeah. It's like fantasy taxidermy.
It's super creative. I one of my bucket list items to own is a Fiji mermaid.
Worth it.
I understand.
Totally.
And I would like a jackalope mounted on like a little plaque. I would like one of those. So
I know, right? Jackalopes. I'd like a jackalope riding a Fiji mermaid.
That's too powerful. It's too powerful. You're going too far.
With a fairy in the background, why not? I know enough people. I'm sure I could probably get this made. I'm sure. But yeah, no, super cool. I think it's fun. I mean, again, it was kind of redundant for us to look inside of this thing, but why not? You know what? If you're at a university and you have access to CT scans and stuff, why not do that?
Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely.
Good for them. So my next story here is that there was some drama in the Amish community. So, a couple episodes back, probably a couple of months ago, I had a good friend of the show, my friend Cassie, come on. She's a great artist in the community. And Cassie is a local Ohioan, and she happens to live in like Amish country, Ohio. And so we had Cassie come on and educate us about the Amish, okay? And she hates them, I guess, for a multitude of reasons. But, some of the stuff that we talked about is how the Amish were very dishonest. And one of those aspects, they're not supposed to, like, drive cars and own phones and all that. Well, last week something happened to all of us. Okay. We all got that emergency broadcast signal on our phone. The Amish are not immune to that. So, a lot of Amish men in the community were caught having, cell phones because of this emergency broadcast signal.
Oh, wow.
Wouldn't have thought of that.
No, crazy.
It's a whole conspiracy now. Well, so their punishment for this is for them to be shunned from the community.
No.
They actually kick them out of the community. Now it only lasts up to like 6 weeks, so they're not shunned forever. But like even when they come back, like everybody knows that like you're a sinner.
Oh boy!
Wow.
Can you imagine? That's so embarrassing.
Yeah, and who would have predicted that?
Right?
By the way.
Yeah, I mean they don't know, they are like they know enough, right? They have cell phones, but like I don't think they really understood that signal was going to come through either way.
Yeah, they may not have been staying up on the social media or the news trends. They may have just had it, for their secret, Amish undercover rendezvous, whatever they use the cell phones for. I can't speculate. Whatever they were doing with it, that clearly was not what they were looking for. Otherwise, they would have turned them off. Hopefully.
Well, and like what's crazy is that all of these stories kind of broke, not because the Amish went to the media and was like, oh yeah, we're shutting a bunch of our men. It's because there is like a mole in the community where all these men get the cell phone, like a person that they get the cell phone from, and he's the one spilling the beans.
Can I just say, when you talk about a mole in the Amish community, I like to just picture a clean-shaven guy who's wearing like a Party City beard that's connected by elastic, and he's the guy who's like smuggling in all of those in like jars of molasses or something.
He's just got tons of cell phones underneath that giant fucking that big jacket they wear,
It's like in did you ever see the Little Rascals movie? We're all old. It was the one from back in the 90s. It's that when they stack them up.
Yeah.
They were like a Jewish guy there, but it's the same concept. Throw a beard on them and they would look the same.
I think you're right. That's him. Or I guess them. I don't. There's a couple of them, but yeah, that's very interesting that that happened. Kind of hilarious. Of course, Cassie was the first person to share this with me. She was very excited. Cassie makes like I said, she was our kind of intel into the Amish community, kind of to help us understand what that looks like. Again, the show is on Wednesdays. We talk weird, and sometimes we talk about the Amish. But she made like an Amish Bigfoot design that she's got and sells, and I think she's going to make a whole Amish Bigfoot family. So that's really neat.
Very cool.
Yes.
So there's.
I bet the Amish have some good ghost stories.
Oh yeah, I
don't know if they tell those publicly or not, but
they probably do. No, they don't. Unfortunately, the problem is that they don't really talk to regular people at all. But you're probably right. I'm sure culturally they have a lot of lore.
Yeah,
indeed.
I'd be very interested. Can you imagine being haunted by an Amish ghost, though?
Ugh.
You open your phone, something happens in the house.
Anytime you turn on the TV, like you hear them whispering, "You're going to hell" in the background.
All of your clothes with zippers just keep getting thrown out on the lawn.
Yeah.
Let's cut your hair in a bowl cut.
In the middle of the night. Yeah.
I wake up in the morning. Where did my mustache go?
Terrible. You're not getting laid in your house ever again. I can tell you that. You're going to turn that all the way off. So so that happened. And then I got two more here. The other one is the famous Bigfoot train footage that's going around right now. So if you guys haven't seen, I'm sure most people have seen this. There were a lot of people riding a train in Colorado from Silverton to Durango, and during their trip on the train in between the two cities, there was a Bigfoot sighting that somebody happened to catch on camera, allegedly. Now, instantly, I see this video. It has been blown up in my inbox, and the first thing that I notice is that it's clearly a costume. And I say that, I don't mean that as just being an asshole skeptic. I mean, you guys, look at the legs on it. Bigfoot doesn't wear pants. Those are clearly pants. They're not actually skin and fur.
Yeah.
You know, it's obvious. So I decided to do a little bit of digging, and what I had found was that, which now, you know, a lot of people know, very close to where the sighting took place, there is a like a place that sells campers. It's actually called Sasquatch Expedition Campers. Their mascot is a Sasquatch, complete with suit. They're very well known in the community for dressing up as Sasquatch and doing different publicity stunts and things like that. So I just messaged these guys on Facebook and asked them directly, hey, there's this video going around. Is it you? And the responses that I got, they didn't say yes, but they didn't say no. The first response they hit me with was, oh, you're not the first to ask that. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's cool. Yeah,
Great
I'm
non-answer.
right. I'm like, yeah, well, my inbox is full of it. So just, you know, is it you guys? And then they were like, yeah, our inbox is full too. Okay. I said, all right. And I told him, listen, I appreciate the time. You know, if you guys decide you want to do a public statement, I'll be happy. You know, I could take a recording of it. I'll put it on my show. We'll give you the publicity. It's fine. Which I guess I'm giving them still anyway. They told me that they would put a public statement on their Facebook page, which says that it's not them. However, they posted it's like a fake letter, and the fake letter has like hair on it, and it's like, oh, it's not us. And then the next picture is one of their workers wearing like the bottom half of like the Bigfoot suit. So it's obviously them.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Clearly it's them, and like I'm not mad about it. You know, here's the thing: is that I'm not mad about it. They did pull off a hoax. I think here's what I think happened. Because witnesses on the train said that when the train was going through that area, it had purposefully slowed down. I think that the train got together with the camper company, and they both decided to do this together for publicity for both of them.
In cahoots.
They're in cahoots.
That's logical, though.
I mean, that video sent shockwaves through the whole Bigfoot community. You know, experts weighing in and everything. So this is interesting. That's oof.
It's good publicity.
It is.
It was genius. It's a good marketing move. I don't blame them.
Absolutely.
You know,
No.
like I said, I'm not angry about it. To me, when you look at the video, and I mean, when you look at it on a phone, it's hard to see. When you blow it up on a computer and blow it up, you can see its pants. It's obvious. But, yeah, I'm not mad at them for doing it. It's just now it's annoying because now it's like run its course, and it's like, okay, guys, you can jump out now and be like, it was us. You can Scooby-Doo us, right? It was the fucking the old man in the, you know, in the kitchen that did it. You know, whatever. You know, and just admit it, but they won't. And that part's annoying to me.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. But for anybody and everybody that wants my opinion on it, that is my opinion on it. You know, I know for a fact it's fake. I'm about 98% sure that it is both of these companies working in tandem and a viral marketing campaign that totally worked.
Clever.
Yes, it did.
Yep.
I think I saw this on CBS this morning. The first time I had heard about this.
Oh, wow.
That's how far it made it. It was a viral sensation. So yeah, it worked, but not if they don't admit it.
Well, right. Eventually, you're going to be like, hey, it was us. But also, you guys should contact me. You get your marketing team to contact me because I would like to have that kind of reach. We'll come up with something together, you know, and then I'll never tell. That's not true. I'm too honest. I can't lie. I'm not good at lying, you guys. I'm just the worst at it, honestly. I would get caught in an instant trying to pull off anything. And then my last bit of news, which was kind of hilarious and kind of weird. I guess it's hilarious depending on who you are. Students at a Florida elementary school, fourth graders, you guys, were shown a Winnie the Pooh movie. Except it's the Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey horror movie.
Oh no.
Wow.
Have you guys seen this?
Yes.
I have not seen that. It's up there on all the streaming services, though.
Yeah, I saw the trailers, but I haven't seen the actual movie yet.
So I did watch it, and it's awful. But like, watch it at least once. You know, it's terrible, but expect that going in. You know, but you know, they got about 30 minutes into the movie, And let me tell you this is how the movie starts. It starts off with like Winnie the Pooh storybook style, right? Which is very classic Winnie the Pooh, but it's really dark. And they tell the tale of how Christopher Robin meets the 100 Acre Wood friends, and then Christopher Robin leaves and never comes back. And because he leaves and never comes back, they all go hungry. And they all get so hungry that they have to cannibalize Eeyore. All right.
Well, naturally, he'd be the first to go.
Of course.
True, weakest of the bunch.
Exactly. Yeah, they cannibalize Eeyore, and now they're on a blood hunt for Christopher Robin, the one that abandoned them and forced them to kill and eat their friend. Again, this is the first 5 minutes of the movie.
I love it already. I don't know. I got to see this.
Well, and that's fine. I agree. I really like really bad horror. Like, it's up there for me. But this was shown to fourth graders.
Oh, I forgot that part. I'm sorry.
Ryan's like, oh yeah, I love that. I love that fourth graders got to watch it. Good for them. And it was just so baffling. And it's like, how do you let this go on for a half an hour before you, I don't know, before you turn? And the only reason why it was turned off was because the students complained so much to the teacher, and they finally turned it off. Well, the teacher is saying that the only reason why they showed it was because the kids chose to watch it.
Wow.
The kids wanted to watch this movie, and so they put it on. I don't know exactly how they got to choose. I don't know. I think maybe they were confused and they thought it was normal Winnie the Pooh. I don't know. Yeah.
Some lazy teacher just like, all right, class, here's my phone. Just pick whatever's on Peacock. Just find something. Let's go. I'm going to be over here on my iPad scrolling TikTok. Just don't bother me.
Yeah, pretty much. And let it play forever. The kids were like freaking out. They're like, we don't want to watch this. And it took 30 minutes for the teacher to take the hint. So parents are obviously pissed off. I don't think it warrants outrage myself. Being a parent, me and my kid watched it. She's 11. And I think she's fine, but then again, she's my kid, so she's got bigger problems. But I guess if she were, when she was in fourth grade, 9, I probably still would have been fine with it. It wasn't that bad of a movie. And if she didn't want to watch it, I'd be like, all right, well, let's not watch it anymore. Again, I think, calling it outrage is a little much, but I can understand being disturbed by that, Yeah. That could certainly be traumatizing to kids is, Winnie the Pooh and Piglet killing people. So, I don't know. Anyway, that's all the news that I had this week. Quite a bit there. My goodness. Anyway, we're here with guests, Amy and Ryan. I want you guys to we'll jump off here, give a quick rundown of who you are and what you do, and then we'll just kind of go from there.
Awesome. Well, we're a paranormal couple, I guess. We're a married couple who met 5 and change years ago through the paranormal, through Twitter. And I had already started, content creating and wanting to investigate more. And Ryan has a background, like a family history of the paranormal and some strange things. So he ended up moving to New York, and we've endeavored to try to bring people our experiences without trying to tell them what to think or what to believe through what we present, which is mostly and primarily our YouTube videos and written works and other content on like social apps and whatnot. But primarily it's the videos and the writing and our own website that we take care of. And we really just like to experience the paranormal and see what we can do to bring those experiences out more if it's possible. But also we take a very try anything approach because we don't have answers. And I don't think we want answers because the mystery and the not knowing is the most fun part.
Indeed. I mean, I don't know that answers are really possible.
Yeah.
In this, it's this activity could be really anything, and there are other folks who like to have the answers, and that's fine. But we're very much an open-minded crew here, so we enjoy making content. Amy over here is a magnificent video editor.
Oh, no.
And I do all the original music for these videos. We've quite the catalog over this time, but we just love the adventure.
I think that's neat. I really appreciate the honesty of, not necessarily needing to find answers in this. Because I think a lot of us that investigate this stuff, I think we know that there's a really good possibility that we may not find any answers.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of us have a hard time accepting that, and that's why a lot of people do it. I dig the fact that you guys are just like, no, we just do it because we like it.
Yeah, sure.
Yep.
Right? The more we do this, and what I learned investigating over the years is like, the more I do it, the more questions I have. I'm not getting answers out of the dark, out of talking to the air, out of going to places that I know full well might scare me, but I kind of want that too. I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't think I'm finding answers. I'm just finding more questions, and that's what keeps going and makes the paranormal keep pulling you back into it.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Well, that's kind of why, like the show Finding Bigfoot, they're not going to find Bigfoot, because when they do, the show is over,
Yeah,
right?
it's called Found Bigfoot when it's done.
Right. So I can definitely appreciate that. So you guys, I want to hear some more of this, like the origin of yourselves. So I guess we'll start with Amy first. Amy, how did you get into the paranormal?
When I was little, my dad bought me the books Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark by Alvin Schwartz, and illustrated by that guy that scared every elder millennial and Gen Xer out there, Stephen Gammell. And both of these guys have since passed away, but that trilogy of books made me so terrified, but also intrigued. And I think as a kid, I couldn't tell the difference between curiosity and fear, and only in going forward with a lot of the media that we have. I was a Ghostbusters kid. I had a Ghostbusters birthday party, and it stayed with me. And then as we got some media in like the late 90s, early 2000s with MTV Sphere, that rocked my world,
Oh, yeah.
and Scariest Places on Earth with Linda Blair, it made me want to be part. I wanted to see it for myself. That's the biggest drive for me. I wanted to see it for myself. And I didn't get into investigating until 2011, when I joined a team that was very chaotic and disjointed, but it taught me things, and it gave me the opportunity to start doing this myself in 2017. And by the end of that year, I met Ryan.
Wow.
So.
Very neat. And Ryan, what about you? How did you get into this?
Well, as early as I could remember, my mother was a practicing witch for many, many years, and my grandmother was a palm reader and tarot card reader, and they had many, many stories, and they scared me, I suppose, and I kind of was in the world without even realizing it, and it took the Blair Witch Project to get me out, and the first time.
Sure.
And the very first time had some great success with the old VHS camcorder, and I'm a musician, as I told you before we started.
Mm-hmm.
I was in a band, heavy metal band, for 15 years, so I didn't really investigate until, a little bit before I met Amy, and I decided to get a little team together where I was living before in Wisconsin, and made a couple of YouTube videos, and was just hooked. And ever since, she and I have been doing this. So, yeah, I grew up with an interesting family. I'll say that.
Yeah, no, that sounds really interesting. I bet they're proud now.
Well, at first they were very apprehensive about me doing this. They're very much into the protection aspect of it,
Gotcha.
like which isn't really my thing necessarily.
Sure.
It's not a bad thing, but it's just a different type of approach, I
Yep.
would say.
But mom is pretty proud now.
Very cool. And then, so I heard it was very fast, but you guys met on Twitter?
Yeah.
Yep.
This guy messaged me. He slid, as it said, he slid into the DMs.
Not like that.
But not like
No.
that, but like he DM'd me and asked me a legitimate question about ghost adventures. And I was like, what do you really think about what these guys are doing and the way they present it? And I sent back a whole paragraph
A novel.
because I'm a wordy one. And we just started talking, and then we didn't stop talking.
Yeah, she invited me out to investigate a place called Captain Grant's Inn out in Connecticut, and I came out here and we hit it off pretty well.
And they didn't leave.
Yeah, Ryan's like, I'm just going to stay. That's
Never really left. Yeah.
I think that's awesome. I love couples that do this together. I find a lot that when you do this kind of stuff, there's a lot of people who, even though they have marriages and families and things, their spouses aren't interested. And I'm like, how do you do that? I don't.
Yes, we hear that a lot.
Because it's a big part of what I feel like when you get involved in it, it can become a really big part of a person's life. So to have your partner not be part of that, at least for us, it would be kind of weird.
It would. It gives us a new adventure to look forward to constantly. And since we've been doing this together, we've been to over 50 locations. Maybe I'm not sure about that number. It could be more.
I don't know.
We've been across the world doing this and all over the country, and it's been amazing. Met some wonderful people, some of the big heavy hitters in the paranormal we call friends and acquaintances, and it's just been fun, a blast.
No, I think that's awesome. And then of course you guys, there's a different level of trust that you can build as a business partnership, because you are a couple, and so it kind of makes it a little easier.
Right.
It does. We're both right here.
Exactly. And I mean, if one of you decides to quit, you can't just do that. Not that you would.
And there is some of that. That's the flip side. Sometimes we have to coax each other along a little bit. One of us gets down, or one of us gets desensitized. It's happened to us both. It's there's stuff in the community of the paranormal that's very positive, and then there's stuff that's not. And we try not to get too involved, but it's kind of daunting to navigate through.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be very exhausting sometimes, and sometimes you kind of forget, not really forget your focus, but you become very overwhelmed with a lot of the things that are happening, and then even worse, underwhelmed with what's not happening.
Yes. Yep.
That's a good point.
And sometimes you just feel like, well, damn, is this even worth me doing? I put a lot of time into this. I don't, so it just depends. That's very exciting. Jimothy, now you're married, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Is your wife into this kind of stuff?
Not at all. I am actually what you just described. I am I'm a believer with a healthy dose of skepticism.
Sure.
And my wife, not at all. It's more of a, that sounds real. Sure, tell me more. Where it's not mocking, but it's definitely like, I'm happy that you're having fun, Jim. I'm happy that you're enjoying yourself going out to these. You can stay out all night. And you can go. You can sit in there and talk to yourself if you want to. That's fine. I'll be cozy in bed.
But you guys obviously have other things that you bond over.
Oh yeah, plenty. We're both musicians and everything too, and we like the spooky movies and all of that. And I like things. See, I'll watch a go-see movie and think like, that's not how that works. Like, they're burning this Ouija board. Okay, all right. Okay, that's you fixed it.
She get mad at you for pointing it out. Like, just watch the movie.
No, honestly, Tori's the one that talks. It's usually I'm sitting there watching the movie and fielding all of the answers for the movie that I am also watching for the first time.
Wow, I can identify with that. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I know what you mean, Timothy. I know.
See, I would love to take Tori out on one of these trips and show like, hey, here's this that I just got. Like, listen back. Here's this EVP that we just got. I didn't say that. You didn't say that. So who did? I don't know. Might have been the radio or something. There's no radio. We're sitting here. Like, I know I can already have this conversation. I already know how it's going to go. But it's good, though. It's grounding because then it makes you question and it makes me take a more of a scientific look at any of the evidence or anything that I've gotten. It's like, all right, well, then what could this be that I can take to you and have you not say, oh, well, that's clearly a door slamming 2 miles away. Like, you didn't get me with this one.
Yeah, you have to make it work. My research partner, she's like that. She's a complete skeptic, does not believe in any of it. Now, I'm not going to call her out because I do enough, but she, we've had experiences that absolutely cannot be explained away by anything. And I'll be like, see? She just doesn't say anything. She just rolls her eyes at me and that's it. But it's helpful, as much of an odd couple thing as that is, it's helpful to have her along for the ride because she can look at things in a way that where I have the confirmation bias. I want it to be real, so I'm going to think that it is. She doesn't, and she can kind of pick it apart in a different, more logical way than I'm capable of doing because I want it so badly. So that is nice. So, as a couple, with you guys having the exact same interests, do you find it difficult to kind of keep each other in check when trying to come up with explanations for things? I mean, I know you said the answers aren't your thing, but obviously when you're collecting evidence, you have to consider, oh, that door just opened by itself. Am I in a drafty building? And, basic things like that. Do you guys agree on most things?
We do, but we approach the paranormal from very much the same way. So that also helps. We both are the first to be skeptical about what we encounter. So it's not so much as keeping ourselves in check or each other accountable, if that's what you're getting at. It's more, not too much.
Yeah, we both always want to find what kind of explanation we can or can think of, at least, for something we've experienced. And then when we're left really like, there's no other way this could have happened besides something strange, that's when we'll both look at each other like, oh man, this is cool, let's keep going.
Then we high five and we're like, yes!
That is a good feeling, yeah.
It is.
It's validating when you have another person that goes, you look at them and go, hey, wasn't that weird? And they're like, yeah, it was.
Oh, yeah. Totally.
In an area that people don't understand. So you guys mostly make your content creation, it sounds like, through your YouTube channel. Is that right?
Yep.
That's the main goal of the content we go and get.
We're long-form content creators, if you will.
But you've done other things, because earlier when I'd asked you guys if you'd ever been on a podcast, you said that you've had one before?
Yeah.
Yes.
In 2021, I think we were still partially locked down, and I was like, let's make a podcast. And it's not like I did any sort of long episodes. They're like 10 to 15, sometimes 24 minutes.
Sure.
And I took my written vlogs over the years and turned some of those into the podcast, and then did some other ones talking about different things. And it's called Eidolon, and there's one season, and it lives on Apple, and that's where it stays. And if the fire lights under me, we might do it again.
Yeah.
So open to the idea of creating more content, but for now, your bread and butter is at the YouTube channel.
Yep.
Yes, indeed.
I think that's the one. It sounds like you both can showcase other skills outside of the paranormal, which is really nice, and a great outlet for things like that. Ryan, do you still make music outside of the channel?
Oh, absolutely. I'm in several bands at the moment. I have a home studio, and I write and record. I play drums, bass, guitar, sing. All of that stuff to varying degrees of wellness, I guess.
Sure.
But, yeah.
That's very cool. You'll have to definitely send me whatever links you have, and I'll put everything in the description. People can find your music outside of the channel, if they so choose. And then, Amy, what about you? What do you do outside of the paranormal?
I'm mostly paranormal and DIY. We moved last year, and we've been working on our old 1946 house since then. And I paint a lot of walls, guys. I've been painting a lot of walls, but I like to write, and I like to. I'm kind of working on some things that haven't really been fully announced, but I'll tell you here. I am writing a book about the paranormal, but it's not like Ghost Hunting 101. I think a lot of people have covered that over the years.
Sure.
My personal experience is being on a paranormal team and how I went through the weirdest, most awful things and people, but came out on the other side way more intact and capable.
That's awesome. I think that's really important. I think that a lot of people in the community have a horror story. We have a war story, right? Mm-hmm. But I think that a lot of people are afraid to talk about it because, especially as a woman, right? We're afraid to look crazy or like we like drama or whatever. But it's not really drama. It's your life. You live it.
Exactly. It's your own life history. So I wrestled with it, and Ryan was actually the one who was like, you should tell these stories.
Yeah.
Because when we were talking back and forth, I'd tell him some of those things that I went through on this team of people, and he was like, "Are you kidding me?" And it is weird because the paranormal is already a vulnerable space to speak in, and it's hard to gauge who you're speaking to all the time, and to go through really weird, strange human things within that sphere of the strange can be even more like, how did I even go through, how are my memories real?
Right. Yeah. I completely understand. I say it all the time. We were all the weird kid growing up, and so when we became adults and we got into this stuff, we should be allowed to find a community where we fit in. And then we get here and we realize that people are assholes still, and it's unfortunate.
Yeah. There's one in everybody. It's every industry, every niche, everything, and it's hard to see that all the time, being within the paranormal so much, and it's just so, I don't want to say it's like insular, isolated, but there's ways it kind of is, because the nature of it is so weird and so not mainstream.
Yeah, I feel like the goal of the paranormal has kind of been lost on some folks. Success is not how many subscribers do I have, or followers, or am I on TV? It's did I investigate properly? Did I do everything I could to debunk whatever came along? Did I capture something awesome? That's the measuring stick.
Yeah.
But in the community, it seems like it's all about the numbers, and yeah.
And I agree. And I tell people, guys, we don't get paid to investigate this stuff. Nobody's waving money in our face saying, "Hey, come take my case." So what do? We create content, and we can only hope that it gets bigger, and that we could make money through those means, right? Let's be honest. We all want to do this full time as our jobs, and in order to do that, well, we still have to make enough money to pay our bills.
Yeah,
indeed.
But you're not gonna properly get to the top by knocking everybody else down. You're going to get there by being honest, by offering, real evidence and research and open and honest investigation, and also making friends. You guys, if you network with people in a positive light, people will support you. They're not going to support you because you're mean to everybody.
yeah, true.
Yeah, you can't bully your way to the top.
No, it just doesn't work. It's such a small community as it is. We all talk, right? We all know you're the asshole, whoever you are. At that time, I'm going to tell on you, and so won't everybody else. It happens, But anyway, I think it is really important to talk about that stuff, especially people that take in the content, people that aren't really in the shit like that. I think they forget that we're also people. And I think it's really important to maintain that, because that is what I like about the people and the things that I follow, is that they're human and still have a human element to them. And so I fully support this book that you're working on. Do you have a tentative date yet? I understand if you don't.
I don't. I have most of it written. There's a lot of editing and a lot of making sure my sarcasm is readable in English in the written word, and that I mean, there's going to be swear words. I swear a lot. That's one of my Achilles
Sailor Jerry over here.
Well, listen,
you're in the best place for that. I'll tell you. To advertise, my fans love that stuff.
I gotta say it the way I want to, the way it needs to be said, and really tell these stories. And I wrestled with it because, this is my life history. I have a right to that, right? I have a right to say what I went through. I'm not using anybody's real name. I'm not trying to be mean or tear people down. I'm trying to tell people a lesson through what I went through. But I'd like to say next year we're going to see things come of it.
Awesome. Yeah, I understand. It's hard to even say that you're working on stuff, because then people expect you to have it done tomorrow.
It's like, where is it?
Right. So, trust me, I've been working on the same documentary for 4 years, and people want to know what the fuck my problem is. It's not out yet. I'm like, guys, it's just me making it. Leave me alone. It's fine. It'll get done.
Yep.
So I understand. That's just the way it is. No, I think that's a wonderful concept, and I think you're right. It's different. We don't really see stuff like that. Of course, you could do another, like you said, Ghost Hunting 101 or Ghost of Upstate New York. How many of those are there?
Oh, they exist already.
There's a few.
Yeah.
But I think that it's great that instead, you're taking it, you're making it something different. Because think about the little people that start off and immediately get kicked out of the community because of stuff like this. It's horrible.
Yeah.
I find it's just a better way to welcome people in, because the paranormal doesn't discriminate against any of the billions of people on this rock.
Right,
It's
exactly.
all over. So why not let everybody and see what people have to say? If there's no answers, let's get some more perspectives on this stuff.
It starts for every person that wants to join the community as a personal journey. They have their personal reasons that they want to pursue whatever they're pursuing. And those stories are often fascinating, so it's better to listen first instead of judge, you know?
Yeah. You know, when I talk about scientific discovery, a lot of those, almost all of them, are not made by one person. They're made by a team of people. And so if we want to if we do want answers and we do want to discover something eventually, we have to work together. We can't do that if we're tearing each other's heads off. So
very true.
That's my take on it. I'm best friends with everyone, even the people that hate me. I love them. I want them to do so good. And then they hate me even more for it.
Perfect.
So, I am the queen of killing them with kindness, and I'll do that till the day I die. So
Good.
that's me. No, I think that's wonderful. So let's talk about some of your guys' investigations. Jimothy, he watches your channel. What, in your guys' personal opinion, what's been your favorite place to record, or maybe your most memorable video that you feel you have, or just your favorite experiences in general?
Well, for me, it's a little bit of a double-edged sword. I think the most interesting video that we've had is our video from the Conjuring House. That's the only investigation we ever left early because of activity, and that was quite negative, at least for me. But the interesting part is that Amy didn't experience anything that night. I experienced a ton. I even saw a 7-foot-tall shadow entity at a time when we were getting some pretty negative communication on the devices and stuff through the Estes method as well. Mm-hmm. Then I saw that, and it just it wrecked me. I found the limit there, and that's probably the most interesting video we have, in my opinion. But
I think it's interesting because we were there together and had two entirely different experiences in the same place, sitting next to each other.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's how weird that is on its own. As far as my favorite, I would say White Hill Mansion, because I will talk that place up forever. They are a good organization. They care about their history and their preservation. And that is the space where the two of us and three of our friends were all sitting together in a second floor room. And the tour guide was driving away. Her taillights were going down the driveway. And we heard somebody walking straight across the third floor and then run back.
Oh, nice.
And for all five of us to hear that.
Heavy steps.
Yeah, like unmistakable bang, 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 bang. And that blows my mind. That's the kind of activity that in my mind starts to form the thought, is it a deceased conscious human in some way doing that? Because so much of this activity, when you really boil it down, could it be a deceased human? Maybe, but a lot of it doesn't discern that like quantifiable aspect, like that's a dead human. Not to be blunt. So this, like footsteps, what else is bipedal and walks like? It's not an attic gorilla, so like that's that place. It's a house in New Jersey, Fieldsboro, northern New Jersey, and there's portions that are over 300 years old, and it's so awesome.
Seen it all, the revolution, all of it. It's prohibition, speakeasy, gangsters, all of it, and it's a melting pot of activity. It's been marvelous there.
Yeah,
interesting. I want to kind of go back to kind of what you were saying a second ago. Are you skeptical that these are dead people?
I am so skeptical. A long time ago now, when I was on that paranormal team, a friend of ours really, we turned to each other and sat down and said, do we think, really, if we look at all the things we experienced, all the homes we investigated, businesses, some weird places, what about the activity tells us, without a shadow of a doubt, this must be human? Mm-hmm. Nothing. We are putting the supposed intent on this activity, a bang in another room, a door closing. It sounds intentional, but that's because our minds gave it that. So when we really sat and looked at it, we were like, geez, I don't know. I don't know if it's human. And it took me years to be like, I don't know, and I'm comfortable not knowing. I'm at peace with this confusion.
I mean, there are a number of things it could be. That could be interdimensional. It could be some sort of time slip. We talk about residual hauntings. You could be experiencing somebody from 1840 that dropped a spoon on the floor and you heard a bang in the room. And then they hear you go, woo, and they turn in their time, and oh my goodness, what was that sound? It could be, it could be a human. It could be your own thought form, an egregore. I mean, it could be extraterrestrial related.
I don't like that possibility at all.
that one doesn't apply as often, but
that's real hard to prove.
There are so many possibilities, but when we have to humanize it to understand it, our brains need that. So I think oftentimes it goes to human spirits, and maybe that's not correct.
Right.
I love that, because that's what I think too, and I get in so much trouble when I say that to people. They get so mad. One time, the first lecture I ever gave, I was talking about the Mothman at a paranormal convention. And of course, it's paranormal, so we got on the subject of ghosts, and I openly said right there, I don't think ghosts are dead people, and the whole room gasped. And then they chased me out. No, that didn't happen. But then I had to explain, and once I explained it, because I think that when people hear you say that, they think that what you're saying is that ghosts aren't real, and
yeah.
Or they're assuming you're implying something negative immediately.
Right, and that's not the case. I think hauntings are very real. I have experienced strange things myself. I know people that have. I've been to haunted places. I just don't think that they're dead people. And most of that, I'll be honest, comes from the bias that I would hate to think that I can die and I'm stuck here.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
How does that work? That sucks.
Right? We have all this free will.
I don't want that.
We have free will in the meat bag, but then when that's over, you're stuck as a cloud where you died. That logic is so human.
Or worse yet,
and it's just
you're stuck next to your gravestone.
Yeah, that's also boring.
Yeah.
What? It doesn't hold up.
Whatever, or you're stuck in that one horrible time period of your life over and over again. No, thank you. I don't want that. Whatever it is. But I don't think that they're dead people either. Even if they say that, even if you talk to one and it says that I'm, so and so from this time, why would you believe them?
Exactly. Right. Where in your mind do you find the logic? And I think that's part of the way we look at the paranormal is, for all the weirdness, trying to find these pieces of logic and breaking these things down as much as possible, the logic goes away. Ghost logic is inherently how you grew up and how you see the world. And our logic is going to...
religious?
Yeah, our logic is going to look really different all over this planet. So we know we come with, our biases as North American people here and the culture we grew up in. So what if we break it down and find the real core elements? And at least for me, it's been not very human.
Right. Or at least let go of the expectations, so that way you can open up the possibility of something different. I think is really important. Jimothy, what do you think? Do you think that ghosts are dead people?
See, I'm one of those people who ask me next week, and I'll give you a different answer on it too, because it's like I feel like I've been visited by deceased relatives, and I feel like I've been in places that are, the stories go that this was haunted by, someone or some group of people, and then you do get the EVPs or something like that. But then again, what is there to prove that it's not some sort of like trickster energy from something else that could be, coming through and coming across? It could be. I love the thought of the time slip of, you running into a room and seeing a ghost that scares you, but also then 40 years later, you're in a room and you see a ghost run in all of a sudden, and it screams and runs away. So it's like it's yourself at different times. Like there's so many different like displays of the phenomena, and it's again it comes down to the aspect of it exists because it's being observed. So it could be anything that whatever you're thinking it is. That's your brain meat working its electrical magic inside to manifest and see I think that's a big part of it too. I like to think that ghosts are, deceased humans in a way, but then that's also me simplifying it and wanting it to be okay, well, that's probably the easiest answer, so let me just go out there and have fun, or else my brain is going to short circuit while I'm doing this.
Sure. Well, now we're all judging you, so I'm just kidding.
That's fine. That's what I'm here for.
Perhaps
We're Jester.
also the safest answer, because you can reason with another person, right? They're scaring you in the moment. Oh, let me talk to you. I can make this better. It could be amalgam of all these things. That's the fun part about it to me.
Yes.
Yeah, there is no one answer. I'd agree with that.
It's the exploration.
Definitely. I'm very open. I mean, if I found definitive proof either way, I'll take it. But just kind of, where I'm at right now and with what I've researched and what I've experienced, I'd agree. I don't have any reason to believe that these are humans. But I would think we'd have like ghost dinosaurs and stuff, right? I mean, isn't that like easiest?
Yes.
We do have ghost animals. I mean, and so that part does get me, because people are like, well, what about ghost cats and ghost dogs? And I mean, people do report them, and I'm like, well, that's a good point. I don't know.
And see here, that brings up a concept that I had heard someone else say the exact same thing. Why don't we have ghosts of cavemen and dinosaurs? And it's like they've dredged the lake for Nessie, even though there's so many sightings of it. What if Nessie is the ghost of like a plesiosaur there in the water? Right. And that's why you're not going to find it, because it's not a physical, like, flesh and blood being. That's a ghost of a dinosaur.
That's what we feel about Bigfoot when we're asked about Bigfoot. It could be some sort of creature that was on the earth and is now presenting itself in some sort of spectral image.
Interesting.
I agree with that being a possibility.
Because where are the bones?
Yeah.
Where are the bones?
That's fair.
Yes.
I will accept any of those answers. So
the bones are in that guy's legs wearing those pants in Colorado on that train.
Right. the camper seller or whatever. Camper salesman. Fair. We actually did. I mean, that was one of my other recent guests was Timothy Renner, and he talks about the Bigfoot phenomena mixed with things that aren't necessarily biological, and I think it's worthy for people. I think it's a shame when Bigfooters just dismiss all those cases.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a faction of that community that doesn't like to hear that.
Hates that. Yeah.
Yes.
And I think it's both. I think there is a flesh and blood Bigfoot. I think it's a tiny, tiny, tiny population. I think that they migrate. That's why they're difficult to find. But I also do think that there is something that presents like it's Bigfoot, because it knows us well enough to know our culture to present itself as something like that, so that you've had a weird experience, but it doesn't want to quite give you all the answers. And that's some woo right there. And I know it is, but in my heart of hearts, that's what I believe.
Yeah, no, that's true, though, because some of the Bigfoot stories that people have, and that I used to hear on the team, we used to do some Bigfoot hunting, they're wild. Like, Bigfoot helped move my car. Bigfoot looked in my bedroom window, tapped on the glass, flipped me off, and ran. Yeah. There's people with crazy, intense stories, and they're not lying. They're not exaggerating. They're not trying to tell you something that isn't true. So much of the time, they're very sincere, and they just want answers, too.
Yeah.
They just want to know.
Yeah, and that was the one thing that Tim was talking about, was that he gets stories of Bigfoot followed by these people also experiencing some type of poltergeist activity, and that's really interesting. There's tons of stories of Bigfoot where Bigfoot has some type of correlation with UFO sightings.
Yeah,
and what are the chances you see both a fucking Bigfoot and a UFO at the same time?
Right, what a night!
What if Bigfoot is an extraterrestrial? This is a narrative that I grew up listening to from my mother and my grandmother.
Interesting.
Who, claim to have many experiences with extraterrestrials. I myself saw a craft. I'm diverting here, but I saw a craft when I was 6 years old, very close up, over a river behind our house. So when they told me stuff, I was all ears after that.
I bet. Yeah. So hold on.
I knew this was going to happen. Happens every time.
I gotta visit this stand, because now you're talking witches and and aliens.
Oh, there was much more than witches. I tried to break it down into a simple. When you asked me to describe how I got into this, I tried to keep it simple, but there's so much.
Ryan.
I know it's tough to go. Well, I saw a flying saucer when I was 6, and that's why I'm here.
That's okay. I understand.
But I did. I remember it pretty clearly, as well as I can. I'm 44 now, so I guess that was 35 plus years ago, but kind of burned in my mind. So
I would imagine.
Was it during the day? Was it at
night? It was at night. I was with my parents, and we used to go to the local stock car racing track every Saturday night, and I sat between them in the front seat of the old Chevy Malibu bench seat. We got to our house, which was deep in the forest, and the whole house was lit up from behind by a giant white light, and my dad looked at me and was like, "Stay here!" And they got out of the car, and they ran around the back of the house, and I didn't stay there. I got out of the car, and I kind of snuck over there because I was afraid of getting in trouble. I went around the corner, and it was my grandmother, my mother, my father, my aunt, all staring out over to the river behind the house, and I looked at them, and I was like, "What are they looking at?" And I looked out there, and there was a disc-shaped object with a beam of light coming out of the bottom, and I saw a fish floating up the beam, kind of rotating in the beam and up into the craft, and then it was gone, and as fast as you could snap your fingers, and left like a little trail, like when the Starship Enterprise goes to warp in the starry sky.
I love that that's your reference.
I ran back to the car, and I got back into the car, and I was just transfixed, and I never said a word because I was afraid of getting in trouble.
Well, nobody's going to believe you because they know you're going to be lying about the size of the fish.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So.
Exactly.
So your family did you ever tell them eventually that you saw?
Yes. I brought it up to my father, who's a blue-collar man. He does road construction and is not into any of this stuff. When I was about 30 years old, and he's like, "We don't talk about that, Ryan."
Oh.
That's all I got.
Isn't that weird? That's crazy.
I asked my mother about it. I've asked her several times. She's like, "Oh, yeah, that wasn't the only time." I'm like, "Oh, yeah? Really?" I'm like, "Did you know I saw it?" "Yes, I know. I saw you there." I was like, "Oh." You didn't feel like explaining anything to me?
I was 6, Ma.
She tried to protect me from a lot of this stuff, you know. She didn't put it in my face, all the mysticism and all the ghost stuff and all the extraterrestrial stuff and everything. She really didn't do that. You know, I'd ask many questions, you know,
sure.
Especially in my teenage years, like, "What was this, Mom? What happened here? What happened there? Just don't worry about it," you know. I'm like, okay. So, yeah, I've gotten a lot more answers now than I ever.
Sure. Well, and I understand. Being a who I am now and having many experiences with strangeness. I mean, it is weird because I also didn't know that my family had a history of weirdness until kind of in the most recent years of my life, and I'm 32. So, I mean, I can relate to that. That's very, very interesting. Have you had other extraterrestrial experiences besides that?
Nothing other than seeing a craft from a distance. Another time, this all took place in Wisconsin. I lived in the Northwoods of Wisconsin. It's a UFO hotspot, I've learned.
Yeah.
And I saw maybe 10 lights flying in formation that looked like a bird coming at you from straight on, and then they all split off in different directions right over my house. They were high up, but I was outside and at night, and there they were. That's really the other main one that I experienced.
Very cool. And Amy, what do you think about these encounters?
I'm stunned that this man has these memories in his brain and I can't access them. No one's invented a machine where I can see someone else's amazing memory. Because this isn't, I have no reason to believe you would lie.
Right.
None. Sure. You know, I know you. I married you. I think I know you.
Yeah.
Right. And that you're not, I'm self-aware enough to know that you're not the only person that's seen these types of things. That's what's so compelling, is you're not alone in this. So what would make you, I don't want to say you're not unique, but you're part of a community that has witnessed something that other people haven't. And for me to be someone who hasn't seen something like that, I'm going to be honest, there's a part of me that's like, maybe I don't. Maybe I don't want to know that one. Maybe I don't want to be scared out of my pants at something over my house.
Yeah, she won't go into the UFO stuff with me. Like, I want to go see the Brown Mountain Lights. I want to go see all this stuff. We live right next to the Indian Creek nuclear facility downstate New York.
Okay.
There's UFOs over it nearly every night.
And there's also the Pine
She won't
Bush,
go.
the Pine Bush Museum. The Pine Bush UFO Museum is like an hour south of us.
Yep.
It's weird. It just, I mean, I think, you know, as a human being, I have limits, I have boundaries, and I have an understanding of my fear, and I don't know how I would react to that kind of thing. And I don't know why I separate that from, oh, I'm afraid to try to experience the paranormal. But I think part of it is I went through the beginning of the paranormal and being like, okay, now I'm going to go into this room in the dark, in a house that kind of scares me. And I got used to that, but I'm not used to it.
It's a different level.
Yeah, it's
because they could take you.
beast.
They could take you for a ride.
Right, that's the other part.
Can I throw in one little short story for you?
Absolutely.
My mother, she claimed to have been taken many times, and sometimes her memories got left intact by the Greys, normally, so she told me. And one day she was like, she told me, yeah, I went for a ride last night. I'm like, okay, I was probably 16. She's like, could you check the back of my scalp? I feel a little pain back there. I lifted up her hair right where her skull meets her neck, and there was this little tiny square incision, and the skin was still in the middle of it, so it was like a square needle. I've never seen such a thing in my life. Perfect square. I'm like, oh my God. Yeah, it blew my mind. I don't know what could have done that. She couldn't have done that to herself.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I married into a scary family. No, I love them. I love her stories, and I love what she has to say about
She
it.
gave me full permission to tell these stories, which I was apprehensive for a while.
Because
But
they're astounding.
I guess we should have asked first. Yeah, it is someone else's stories.
oh, it's fine. I was on another podcast, and I told a bunch of the stuff, and I actually called or had Amy message them. Could you take it out? And I told my mom. She's like, why'd you do that? I'm like, because, Mom, you know, I don't want you mad at me.
Aw.
Like, oh, no, go ahead. Go ahead. It's fine. I'm all right. So here we are.
Right? She's a wealth of information, for sure.
Yes.
Amazing. No, I personally. So what I do, I'm a Fortean investigator. It means I investigate all of it, cryptids and ufology and paranormal, everything, because I think that a lot of these things are connected somehow. But I would say, you know, honestly, when I started my interest in this stuff, it was more into cryptozoology because I was a very scientifically minded, skeptical person. And I'm still very much a skeptical believer. I'll debunk as much as I can, and then what I can't debunk is where the mystery lies. But as I've kind of deep dived more into the career, I found out that most of what I do falls in line with ufology. And so I think that's very interesting that you have those stories. I'll tell you, you know, watching something be abducted the way that you did, that's UFO sightings aren't rare. But what you experienced is rare. And obviously, you know, growing up with somebody as close to you like your own mother, who is an abductee, is also extremely rare.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
You know, that doesn't happen often.
And as a child, it didn't really faze me because it was just normal. You know, I'd hear these stories often. My grandmother, who passed away sadly in 2007, had some pretty dandy stories as well. And I wish she was still here because she was kind of the ringleader of this all. She was a very amazing woman, and yeah.
If there are ghosts of dead people, I would want your family to haunt us.
She promised me she'd come see me. I'm still waiting. She told me that before she passed. I will visit you one day.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. And
It is.
I hope that does happen. Yeah.
Me too. I hope that I'm wise enough to recognize it if it does. But
I don't think my grandparents are coming.
as we established earlier, I'm not too big on the human spirits theory, so
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right.
Gotta work
Right.
for it.
It's like, man, I hope she does, but also I hope she's not stuck here somewhere.
Right?
You know, I get it. Well, I'm just gonna say, you know, honestly, every chance you get, talking to your mother, you should try to record her. Not necessarily to put it out anywhere, you know, just for yourself. unfortunately, these people have extraordinary stories, and what happens is that, well, they die, and then with them, the stories die off. And it's getting harder and harder to document this stuff from, kind of the original people who experience these extraordinary events. So, I think that you should do that. And if she ever wants to sit down and talk with somebody who does this stuff professionally, I do have a really good friend there in Wisconsin that I know would be willing to talk with her and keep it confidential or put it out however she'd like. And I'd be happy to give you that resource sometime after the show, of course. So,
yes, that could be. Yeah, absolutely.
I'll put that on the table for you. Wow, very interesting. No, I understand Amy's sentiment about being terrified of these things because, well, like Ryan said, guess what? They can take you places. And that's horrifying to me. I've never had a ghost take me anywhere, off of the planet Earth. So
I've never been through a portal I've found, so
right.
Pass through a mirror.
I mean, I'd rather not, with the possibility of aliens. I do have contactees that maintain lifelong relationships with the, people, the things that abduct them. Not necessarily bad ones, but, I have thought about that possibility. Listen, if I really believe in these things, then I believe there's a possibility that a UFO could land in my yard and ask me to go with them. And would I do it?
Would I do it?
Only if my memories stayed intact and only if I could come back.
Yeah, I need that guaranteed real bad.
My grandmother told me many stories, and one of them in particular was that she communicated with them psychically often. They'd show up in the house and they'd talk to her and tell her stuff like, we won't allow humanity to destroy itself, and on and on. Mm-hmm. And they had to stop talking to her because she was getting nosebleeds. And I do remember the nosebleeds.
Wow.
Because it's a lot on the human brain to communicate that way. So
yeah.
At least the message was uplifting. Someone's looking out for us. We don't know where or what they are.
Yes.
Hey, nice.
We're not looking out for ourselves. So,
right.
That's
somebody's got
it. Right. We need an adult. That's collectively.
Not bad at that.
But that is that's a pretty cut and dry. That's usually what it is. That's usually what they talk about with us. I don't know why. I don't know why they pick just random people that don't have control over us destroying ourselves, but they do.
Right.
I guess because we're the only ones that'll listen, and whether or not we do anything with that message, I guess, isn't up to us, or them, or what have you. But wow, very interesting. What a tangent.
Sorry. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said anything. This happens every time.
You got good ones. It's just so astounding. I don't know. I love it.
It's very interesting. Yeah, don't be sorry. I'm glad you shared it.
It's nerve-wracking to tell some of this stuff because, I don't know how it'll be perceived, and this isn't necessarily what's happened to me. Mm-hmm. I've seen the aftermath of certain things, but I haven't, to my knowledge, gone for a ride.
Sure. Or to your knowledge, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Caveat.
Indeed.
Not yet, anyway. Yeah, no, it's I completely understand. Understandable. It is nerve-wracking to talk about it. It sounds crazy. Let's be honest, it does. Mm-hmm. But it's not. You're not the only one, and the things that you're saying line up. It tracks with what other people say. So I think that I commend you for speaking your truth. I think people should talk about this stuff more.
They definitely should.
The only way that they're going to do it is that if us, us with other encounters or experiences talk about it as well. Take away the stigma, take control of the situation, take away the stigma, and then eventually it gets better. Well, and it has already with the government's quote unquote disclosure.
Yes.
Or whatever you want to call it. It's definitely killing that stigma a little bit. More people are talking about it. So I think that's great. I think that's awesome that you're willing to do that. Makes sense now why you said that ghosts could be aliens.
From what I was told, they kind of melt into a room. They kind of biologically melt into your space, like they appear. It's almost like a transporter from Star Trek. I know it sounds crazy, but more biologically. Sure. This is a first-hand account told to me by my mother. So, who knows? They could appear in Waverly Hills Sanatorium, but I don't know.
Maybe that's what the creeper there is. Like,
indeed. That is a good point.
Well, I mean, Ryan, you mentioned when you were at the Conjuring house, you said that you saw a 7-foot tall shadow person.
Yep, I sure did.
What do you make of that?
I don't know. All that stuff does for me is reinforce that there is something going on.
Yeah.
So I can't identify with full-on skeptics. I just can't. Just I've seen it, like something's going on. I can't tell you what, but there is something.
Yeah.
And it sucks when you can't validate your own experiences. So I think it's definitely, so I think that you very quickly let go of the explanation and go, you know what? I fucking saw something weird. That was
I know what I saw.
Right.
The narrative that was building throughout that night, at the point I saw that figure, it seemed like a show of power by it to do exactly what we did and to leave. Wow. I guess you'd have to watch the video to see that narrative build throughout the night, but yeah.
Yeah, leave something for the audience to come. We definitely.
I suppose
we want to show your channel too. We want to grow your audience. So.
Unfortunately, the camera was on me and not on the entity.
Right, and I was looking the other way.
Yep. But my reaction, I look at it now and I'm like, I just didn't. I don't know. I'm still speechless.
Yeah.
When I saw it, the tears just came out of my eyes and involuntarily. Like I was crying. Like when I saw it, like of fear, I guess. Like they just started streaming down my face. So,
was it more like a stick person, or was it like a human figure?
It was a black shadow, human-like, but it moved quick, like unnaturally quick. I saw the arms wave and the 2 legs as it was taking a step. It went through a doorway in the next room.
When you see something like that, would you describe blacker than black, kind of what it's made of?
Just at the core with this one. Like, just at the core. It's had some translucence on the outside of it. It's like almost like it wasn't fully manifested, if that makes sense.
I wonder if your experiences with that would align with mine, because like that's just the best way I can describe it. Is there's like no light to these things that I've seen that are like that.
That's really interesting the way you said that, because I've seen one of these things in my life, and when I say it felt like if I was looking into a void, not at something physical in that space. It was so dark, there was no shadow. It's really bizarre to see something with no shadow to it and just no light. It was like looking through something, not at something.
Yes.
So when I saw the Mothman, what I explained to people, or try to explain to people about what it looked like, it's not like seeing something. It's like a statue, right? A statue's obviously there. It's like an overlay into reality. It's like there, but it's not there. And I don't know how to explain it except for that. So like back in school, remember you used to have like the teacher would turn on that projector thing and they would use like the transparent things to project their prints or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like you have those and you just laid it on top of reality.
Yeah.
It's like I said, it's there, but it's not there. It's very strange.
Yeah. And it's your brain going, how in the world is this here right now? And you can't even articulate a thought in the moment. And it's usually so fast that your head spins. You can't make sense of it in the moment. So afterward, you're just kind of left brain dead for a few seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, how do I tell what I just saw? Because I don't know how to articulate this.
Yeah.
It's very difficult. And a lot of people, when they see these types of things, of course, Mothman's my big area of interest, so I'm very well versed in those sightings, so I'll use that as my example. They'll describe it with some type of like glimmer effect to it. And I don't necessarily think that it is actually like glittering or shimmering at all. I just think that it's your brain trying to like make up something because it
fill in the blanks.
Yeah,
it's so strange. So I think that obviously our brains aren't wired to really experience this stuff, and I think that if whatever these things are, whatever they are, ghosts or demons or angels or Mothman or aliens, whatever they are, I think that they present themselves on purpose to us. And so they have to find ways to manipulate our brain in order to perceive those things because our brains can't really naturally perceive them. I think they're happening all the time, all around us. But it's just we can't recognize them. That's what I think.
I'd have to agree with that. That's,
absolutely.
As far as, paranormal logic goes, that's kind of the boiling down point.
Yes, and we know that our brains are limited. As smart as some of us think we are, they just can't extrapolate certain things, and you're left with something. It's unexplainable.
Well, and I think that's why you have skeptics, or not just skeptics, but you have people that go into a place that is a high activity area and they experience nothing. Mm-hmm. It's because whatever it is that's there or can influence an experience doesn't want you to see it for whatever reason. They're petty, they don't want to be seen, and that's why we can't create a pattern. Because if we could hit a haunted house, right, get one historically haunted house, and just say somewhere like Waverly, hundreds, probably thousands of experiences people have had there, probably thousands of pieces of evidence people have. Little tiny pieces of evidence, but still pieces of evidence. If it was happening all the time and we could catch it all the time because it's happening all the time, we're aware of it, we could prove that something's going on, but we can't. And again, I think the reason is because it's happening all the time. We just can't, we need their help, whatever they are, to help us experience it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so that's, that's
in Waverly, we actually had our camera pointed in the right direction for once, and Amy and I both saw a gray shadow figure, and on camera, all that was represented was the tiniest little blip of light.
Oh, that's so annoying.
The camera saw something different than our eyes did.
Right. I think just that is kind of telling as to how strange this stuff works, however it works, Right.
Yep.
Yeah. The one thing with camera evidence, and I think people don't really understand, is that you can get different types of cameras that detect different things, right? But cameras are never going to be better than the human eye. And I try to explain that to people, and they don't really understand. Of course, we can't see heat signatures, but when you're just talking a regular, ordinary camera, I think that does track, that you guys did see something that the camera didn't necessarily pick up on. Because it can't. It's not designed that way. It doesn't have a brain.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah, most of seeing is your brain's interpretation, not just the light going into your eyeballs. So that's the hardest point of experiencing and then trying to create something visual, like on YouTube, to give people that.
Yeah, that's what they all want.
You have to give like an hour explanation of narration to be like, so what happened?
I have a friend who's always like, "Did you catch anything on video?" No, I didn't catch anything on video.
Wish I did. Yeah.
Right.
I understand. It is tough. To get what would you guys say is your best piece of physical evidence that you've obtained?
Oh my goodness.
There's a few. White Hill Mansion again, right at the end of the first trip there. It's an older video. I'm locking the door to leave in the morning, and there's some sort of swirling mist around my neck, and it's pretty undeniably there. It's not a bug. It's don't know what it is. That's the highlight.
And the shot is in full daylight, so that does help. It's
no night vision involved.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's weird.
How many jokes did you get about you being so hot that you had steam coming off of you?
None yet. You're the first.
I'm surprised. I'm disappointed in you, Internet.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good one. Any others that you can think of?
Visually, that is so rare. Yep. It's not like we have a DVR system, or we don't use a lot of surveillance cameras, because honestly, the watch back is not very exciting. And no matter what's caught, it's like I wasn't there to experience it. So
that's why we're doing this.
So we don't have a lot. It's really the noises. It's really
audio-wise.
Out loud voices, those get me. Those make me wonder. I love that.
The disembodied voices that you actually hear, and the camera picks up. That's our gold right there.
I love that. Yeah. It's just so weird.
Numerous examples of that.
Yeah.
Very cool. Do you guys use any tools of divination when you do this stuff? As you do the Estes method, is that right?
we do that. Ryan is usually the listener or receiver, and I'm usually the one that asks the questions or tries to make a conversation around what he's saying in some way. Keep drawing on things that have to do with the area we're in. We will use tarot cards or oracle cards in different places.
Not too much. We
Not too much.
don't do too much with the Ouija boards, not because we're not open to that. It's just we've never had a whole lot of success with it.
No, that's a very quiet time a lot of the time.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
But yeah, not really. We're kind of an audio visual, not only, but we're not huge on the EMF stuff because of stray voltage and the amount of power that's being transmitted through the air with our phones and every other thing out there.
Right, we're only using video cameras.
No one's adequately convinced us that we're not picking up that stuff. So
Yeah, EMF I feel like is kind of an outdated thing. Like
Right.
I agree that there's just too much interference. I could take my EMF detector, turn it on in my house, and it's going to go nuts.
Yeah, you're going to find a weirdness in places where you don't even realize there should be because of the world we live in.
when you get an EMF spike in conjunction with an EVP or something, that's a little more interesting. But
Sure.
Yeah.
But when you take it places, it doesn't shut the fuck up. So I understand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you don't hear the voices,
Sure.
I understand. Timothy, do you have any questions for them? I'm over here bogarting the questions.
I did. I wrote down a list earlier today that I was thinking of, and you have hit 6 of them. So
Well, I do
far,
this
so.
professionally, so
No, it's I've got a few. What is a bucket list investigation place that you've wanted to go to but haven't been able to yet?
Gosh, there are so many castles in Europe
Yep.
that exist right now, and some of them are empty, and nobody's renting them overnight. There's that, Chillingham Castle.
Chillingham Castle.
That just looks amazing.
The Scarret Inn. 30 East Drive. All of these in England.
Ancient ruins in the farthest reaches of Asia. There's places that are probably the most unattainable things, just to explore what that could be like. Especially in the night.
There's a few out west. West is where we're kind of, we have yet to really hit hard. So,
you guys need a TV show, it sounds like, so they can fund all these trips that you gotta take.
we need something.
Right.
Executive producer.
Oh.
Well, speaking of that, do you guys like watch, any of the mainstream things, or even have other fellow investigators that put out programming or YouTube content or anything like that you enjoy or draw inspiration from or anything?
Oh yeah,
totally.
I'm currently re-watching the first couple seasons of Ghost Adventures because I want to remember what it was like to see that for the first time and be intrigued and curious about where they are and how excited it was.
Before everything was a demon.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything recently because I know it's really changed. It's been a lot of years, It changes its formats. They change what they're up to. But I'm trying to just feel that excitement again. And seeing a show like that and being like, no way, look at these places. And I'd love to take in all of the paranormal content, mainstream, all friends who are YouTubers, all of it, because I don't have answers and I want to see what other people are experiencing, how they rationalize what they go through or how they explain it. I want to see where people are drawing conclusions from A to Z really quickly and for, the time allotted for a TV channel that has advertising revenue, etc. I want to see how it's made. I want to see what we're doing, and I want to see what popular culture is creating. Because somebody said this not too long ago, like, without Zach Bagans and that popularity, would we really have any popularity or such a even for as small as it is, such a sizable amount of creators and investigators and rentable places? And I was like, you know what? You're not wrong. We don't have the big control over
credit.
it. Right? We don't have big control over what's popular.
It sounds like you listened to my show last week. We talked about it a little bit.
It's true. I think taking it in is worth it, even if I'm judging.
And I'm a fan of anything that our friend and acquaintance John Tenney is involved with.
For sure, yeah.
He is my favorite personality in the paranormal, and I've got to spend a little time with them and hear his stories firsthand, and it's incredible. He's an incredible human being.
I like his take on a lot of things. I agree with a lot of what he says, and yeah, he's a good dude.
He seems like a very no bullshit kind of a guy. Like, here's what I think this could be. This is what other people have looked at, and this is what we're looking at here. So this could be that.
He's exceptionally well researched with a bevy of cases under his own belt, and knows everybody who's everybody in the field and been everywhere you can think of. It's just an amazing experience to talk to him. Have you guys gotten him on the show? You should get him on the show.
I know, I should. So all the guests are chosen by the listeners. So if you guys want to hear John Tenney on the show, just let me know and I will get him on. So we don't normally do a guest show. Normally we're topic based, but I'll do like spurts of having guests on because it kind of gives me a break from having to do any research.
Well, he will give you the weirdest Wednesday you've probably ever had if you get him on here.
Yes.
No, we had Alan Greenfield on. I'm not sure anybody can top that.
That's a great weird time.
Yeah, yeah. It was a good show. I was titled Alan fucking Greenfield because that's how I introduced myself.
Oh man,
it was wild. So, but no, Tenny would be a good one to have on. So maybe the next round of guests, people will recommend him. So
awesome.
Indeed,
that would be awesome. See, and I agree with you. I like to absorb all the other media things too. Like I like to watch all of the stuff. I have Discovery Plus, and it's basically just a paranormal viewing app. That's essentially what it has become.
And true crime.
Yeah, both of those combined together. That's what is there. And home makeovers. All of that. And it's again, that's all the same aspect of the phenomenon. That's how it manifests there. But no, I like watching all of those different shows. I like guys like you who are like doing their own independent thing. I love a lot of like indie people out in the paranormal field. Like I probably on social media follow more independent people than I do like the big guys. Like I might follow Zach Bagans. I think I do. Other than that, there's nobody with like TV shows. It's everybody else who is consistently putting out all this info and content across the field and everything and showing things and not afraid to show things too. Like, hey, we went here and here are some cool pictures I got. I don't have any ghosty evidence or anything, but we had a great time and here's this. And I think that's just as important as going out somewhere and saying like, oh, we were here and listen, I got my hair tugged on and this happened and all night long it was this, because there are times that you're not going to experience anything. Like you theoretically, and personally it's never happened to me, but I'm assuming that for someone who could go to Waverly Hills, you could spend a night there and not experience anything, not see or hear anything. Again, that hasn't happened to me. That's one of the craziest places I've been to. But have you done that? Have you went into any of these like big hot spots or like big name places and just not experienced anything at all?
Oh yeah.
I mean, I would say one of the biggest ones was like Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum, which I mean its real name is Weston State Hospital. That's what it was always known as, and that has such a reputation. It's beautiful. It's gigantic. The history is horrifying. So the hype is so palpable, and it was very, very quiet. Very quiet.
Moundsville Prison, that's another one.
Well, you had an experience.
We had a few bangs. We didn't have a lot of...
Not a lot, though, no.
I played my guitar inside there. I played Folsom Prison and some songs for the ghost inmates, and that was an interesting experiment.
It seemed like there were more bangs in response.
Yeah, there were. I'd like stop on a dime and then bang somewhere around the prison. So I guess
Oh, they wanted an encore.
Could have been a bird. Could have been a bird.
Right, there's still. But you want huge experiences, but the reality is so much more nuanced and kind of personal and subjective that it's hard to. I mean, half the battle is how do we put a video out where we don't have a shadow figure and we didn't scream and run. And to be honest, I don't think I've screamed the entire time we've been making videos. Nothing.
I've never screamed, only cried.
Right, I think we've just sworn. We've just sworn.
And sworn.
Epically.
Yes.
That's the reaction.
That one. I've had the in-person jump scares. Yeah, I understand that one full well. But I do like the thought of music as a trigger thing. I had a good EVP once. One of my buddies in our group, he was singing, and it followed up with, I don't remember exactly what it was, but the EVP followed after he had finished singing. It was like,
oh, nice.
Awesome.
So I do like the thought of using that as a trigger. That is fun.
That's what I was hoping to capture. It didn't happen though. So something to that regard, anyways, or some clapping.
Yeah, that would be
That
cool.
would have been fun.
That would have just shown appreciation at least.
Right.
I know. It's played to a lot of empty rooms in my time as a musician, and that one was pretty darn dead. Tell you what.
Oh,
That's awesome. Did you have other questions that you wanted to ask?
I've got. I think that hits most of my stuff here on the list. You know, we've talked about equipment and paranormal media and not being always haunted, which I think is a good thing. And again, I loved watching the live stream that you guys just did, and the Estes method stuff on there was. That was it for me. I took notes as I was watching it. I was working from home and I had that playing, and I stopped doing my doing my work to write them down. Yeah, the steel bars, as you mentioned, that was what I noticed. The laundry list and him saying lots of them. There was one he said, "You're right," as right back to a response to you saying something.
Yeah.
There was one where you said, I don't remember exactly what it was, but I wrote down all in caps. He said, "Beautiful." Right after a thing, like there was that was fantastic. I just loved that. Really appreciate you guys.
Oh, thank you for watching.
Thank you very
that.
much.
I love having fun doing that. I like live streaming that method because it doesn't translate well when it's broken into pieces, and we always have to break it apart to make a video, or it is just it's just not quite. It doesn't feel the same, and it's such a subjective method, because no one else can hear unless we split and do all this tech stuff to record what he's hearing. Well, then that takes the point away.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
Could I throw out one more content creator that deserves a mention? One of our very favorites.
Yeah, please.
He is out of England. His name is Mark, and his channel is Dead Cold Paranormal. And he's about as practical an investigator you'll ever find. He's captured some pretty cool stuff, but he's not afraid to show when there's nothing. And he has some really interesting takes on everything. He's a fantastic video maker. I just wanted to throw that out for anybody that's listening. Go check out his channel.
Absolutely. And he's from England, you said?
Yep.
I love that because I can't get over across the pond, so I can only watch things from there.
I love what he gets to show us.
He has a fantastic accent.
Yes, there's that too.
He's a good guy. We got to meet him in person last year in London, and it was a real treat.
That's awesome. No, I love that. No, did you guys have other people that you want to shout out? Other content that you take in or that you think people should be paying attention to?
I love Mallory Sawinski. Her handle is Coffee, Books, and Ghosts. And she's a newer investigator and a published author. And she's new, but she's not influenced by all of the media for all of these years. She really finds the experience to be the most powerful thing, and we've connected because of that, because her mindset is so ready for the experience and to examine it and to face what kind of scares her as she is still starting out, and she's become a really good friend. So Mallory Sawinski, big shout out, and read her books. She writes them, so I figure it's worth reading.
And our friend Becky Galentine, My Bloody Galentine, we actually drug her to a Weezer concert a couple of months ago. It's pretty fun. She's tremendous, and she's a rising personality in the field, and she's really great and thoughtful and
it's really
amazing person.
Really good intent behind their work. Really, the kind of people who stop and think before they create something on how it's going to hit. And I think the same as us, the kind of people who take a stance like, who could I hurt in what I'm creating? Let me take a look at any point I could say the wrong thing and let me do better. And I think that really shows in a lot of the creators that we've been finding lately.
I love that. I love that you guys come on here and you shill other people.
Oh yeah, there's so many great people. There's so many,
Definitely.
Yeah, there is. I struggle with it all. I'm like, I want to support everyone. I spend so much fucking money on you guys. You have no idea. Anything that I make goes right back into spending it on someone else in the community. Which is fine. They deserve it. So
Yeah.
I think that's wonderful. And then where can people find you guys?
Well, the basis of our stuff is on a website called supernaturalspot.com, and that'll take you to the YouTube channel of Amy and Ryan's Weird Adventures, and that's our main jam. Those link up, and anything that I've written, it will hide in the blog. The only things that are not in the blog are things that went into like the feminine macabre, but all the written stuff, Ryan's music is on there. I make ambient tracks for like meditation and background tracks for other creators, and all of our stuff is, we throw it on there, supernaturalspot.com.
Perfect. And then, yeah, any links that you guys send me, I'll put them down in the description below. You guys should definitely check out Amy and Ryan's work and what it is that they're doing. Obviously, they're good human beings, and I want to thank you guys again for coming on and taking the time, and especially Ryan for being vulnerable and sharing your experiences here.
Absolutely.
I think that's fantastic. But and then Jimothy, where can people find you?
Across all social medias it's Jimothy Strange, all one word. Jimothy, like Timothy with a J. So TikTok, that's my main bread and butter. Instagram, Twitter, any of the other ones, it's all the same. Jimothy Strange is my handle.
Perfect. Well, with all that being said, guys, we will see you back here next Wednesday.